Hi everyone, this is my Jane magnolia. It's a Japanese magnolia and it is in its prime time right now, blooming. It is one of the most beautiful flower springtime in the garden right now. And currently I've got a couple buds, which is great, that are still pushing out, but you can see the tree in itself is in full bloom. Very beautiful. It makes it great as a standalone statement in the garden, or you can have this and underplant it with other things. I garden in zone 8A. During COVID, my husband and I decided to buy property in Alabama, so we chose to purchase 24 acres, and basically we're homesteading out here, building our own home, and my love of garden gave me the opportunity to have all this acreage to start my own gardening. So I'm looking forward to developing the land and seeing where we go from there. This is a Jane magnolia. I have different varieties of Japanese magnolia in the garden, and sadly the frost that we had a couple weeks ago, some of the buds pushed out pretty early, and during the frost it damaged most of the bud. So I've got a couple of Japanese magnolia that basically drop its bud and it's not gonna flower this year for me. But the Jane seems to be more of a late bloomer. So you can see here, as she's still pushing out new buds, I've got some really tight buds right here. And then you've got buds are just barely opening up. And different stages brings on different color. Now, the deep, rich purple color you see as the bud form, they will get lighter as they open up. So you see this one being extremely purple, like a royal purple, which is a beautiful color. And then once it starts to open up a little bit, you can see it turns a lighter color, and the flower petals on the inside is white. So you get like a double color variation in the flower, which is beautiful. Now look at this one. And I mean, this tree, though small, is really loaded with lots of flowers. And they just create that pop in the garden because you got so many different variations of color and different stages in the bud. The Jane magnolia is, I have one at the old house, and I do believe I have video of it. It was 15-20 years old at the old property. Sorry, a car drove by and Bluxum got all defensive and starts barking. He likes to chase cars, which is not a great thing here, but he always comes back. So back to the tree. Now the Jane magnolia, and most of the magnolia, you can either train it into a multi-trunk, single trunk standard, which is a tree form, or you can leave it in its natural habit, which is more of a bushy form. Some of them do get up to 15 to 20 feet. I do have one, I think, called the black tulip, which technically can get up to 30 feet if it's in its prime condition. I'll show you that one. It has two bud that actually came late, and it's actually blooming, but the rest of the buds have already dropped off and died back from that frost that we have. What I would like to do is create an entrance to where I have these for springtime, and then of course summer flowering and fall interest. I like to have a year-round interest, but right now the spring interest is enough for this area. This is just the front entrance. I would like to mirror another one on the other side, which I did, but that one did not take and it died back. They are slower growing habit, but not as slow as the Japanese maple. So this is Japanese magnolia. It'll flower. The Jane magnolia may give you a second flush of bloom later on. With the older mature tree, it gave me 2 to 3 flushes, but the second and third flush is never as amazing as the first one. Now when they flush out, they bud out first. This is their habit right before they break dormancy. They will push out and then they will give you these buds. And the buds will form and flower before leaves push out. After the flowers have dropped and everything, then the leaves will come out, and then you'll have a beautiful looking green tree or bush, depending on the form that you have, and then it'll stay like that until it drops its leaves in the winter time, and then it'll go back dormant and it'll repeat its life cycle. The property we are on, we just got it timbered. When you get your property timbered, they take all the trees that they want, and most of them are pine that's on our property. There are some hardywood, and then they leave basically the land looking like a mess, because you can, I think, pay some companies to come in and clean, or some timbering company have extra perks to where you can buy it and they can come in and clean it as well as timber your property. But the company we went through just basically timber, got what they want, left everything else for us to take care of. So eventually we'll like to rent a mulcher, mulch down most of the tree, and then work that into the ground. At the front entrance, we told them to leave some trees in the front to create kind of a barrier so you don't see all the way back into the property. So flanking the two sides, you'll see the trees are still standing, and we'll go through and kind of weed out what we don't want. And then eventually we'll like to plant it and grow more things over here. My garden is fairly young. We've only been on the property, I think, approaching our 4-year now in November, I think is when we acquired the property, but we didn't actually move in until the following January, February. So technically we've only been on the property for 4 years, starting everything from scratch. I don't have the funds to buy plants at maturity, so I'm buying them younger, which is a lot cheaper, but that means your garden tends to be a lot younger, and it takes a good 2 or 3 years when things are planted into the ground before they become mature enough to either give you the full sets of bloom or however it may be. And I mean, some trees may take 15 years to grow, just like the one at the old house. It took 15 to 20 years to reach its maturity. So this one is only 6 feet. So it'll be amazing once it reaches maturity and I can actually see what it'll look like. Let's go check out on a couple other ones that I have that is currently blooming. What I would have liked to do is wait for them all to be in its prime, flushing out, blooming, so I can give you guys kind of different varieties, how they grow, their habits. But gardening, as you know, is not perfect, and each variety blooms at its own time. It's never the same. So that's why we're kind of having to do clips of video. This is Jane. It is in its prime. We're going to go check out some other one right now. And this sad looking little tree is only about 4 feet tall, but this is a saucer magnolia. The saucer magnolia, I've realized, is more of an early bloomer, which is why it had set its flower bud and had produced and actually had developed. It actually opened, and then that frost that we had a couple weeks ago, I can't remember if it's been like 2 to 3 weeks now, and you can see it literally burnt every single flower up here. And that's it for it. I mean, once it gets nipped by that frost, it just basically won't open. It'll turn brown, and it died. It literally just, every single flower died off on this. You can see it's looking healthy though, because it's pushing out new growth. Like I said, this is where the Japanese magnolia is amazing, because it pushes out flower before the leaf actually forms. So since all the flowers have pushed out now, there's nothing for it to do but start forming leaf for the summertime, and then it sucks up all the energy, and then hopefully next year I can get a show of blooms, as long as they don't push out before the frost comes and nips them all. So it was really sad. I really wanted to show you guys. Now the saucer magnolia had even a bigger flower than the Jane magnolia, and they're really beautiful. I definitely am sad that I'm not able to show you how it looked and how it should look, I guess. So basically, there might be one more bud right here that is developing, so I might have one that I can show you. Here's a couple buds here, but you can see this one is already, I mean, look, see, it's browned out. It's dead. There's nothing, no life to it on the inside. It's really sad. But this is the saucer magnolia. It can get up to 20 feet tall. So it'll be amazing to see what it looks like in the garden when it reaches its maturity. This one is, I believe, a yellow bird. This is a yellow bird magnolia. So the flower is yellow, hence the name yellow bird. But I transplanted this one early spring, I think, and it stressed out really badly, so it basically dropped all of its bud, and now all it has is just, I think these are budding leaves. They're smaller, they're not as big as the flowering leaves you can see here. I mean, it's rooted in really good this year, so I'm hoping by next year we'll get an amazing show of yellowbird magnolia. This is the star magnolia. The star magnolia actually pushed out similar to the saucer magnolia, but it didn't completely open up. So you can see the flower buds are still intact. And look at all of the petals on this. This is one flower, but look at all those petals. It's really a statement in the garden. And it's actually really big. I would say it's about, what, 4 inches in diameter. Now this is a young one. You can see it has one long stem, and then it has all of these little tiny ones pushing out. The flowers are almost to the end of its life, so last week was in its prime. I also have another one that's on the other side, and I'll show that to you too, but it actually had more flower and it was more stately. Uh-oh. Looks like I girdled the trunk over here, so I'm going to have to come in and remove this plastic. So if you don't remove your plastic thing and you're not paying attention, it will girdle the plant and damage it, so you want to remove it. Oh, looks like I need to treat it because I got ants underneath. So this is the the star magnolia, and it is more of a compact form than the other one, so it won't get as large, but I bet you'll probably get about 10 feet if you just let it grow in its natural habitat. And again, they are more of a bush form, so you have to train it, and training it is easy. You just take the lead stem here, cut everything else back, and then let that one grow and give it more nutrients, and it'll push up. This is the second star magnolia that I have, and actually it lost almost all of its flower. You can see right here where the flower had set. This is the little seed pod that comes out after it flowers. There's one right here, but it still has a couple buds. Here's a smaller flower right there. That one's probably about 3 inches in diameter. And then here's a new bud down here pushing out. But you can see when I say that it's more of a bushy habit, you can see how much growth is coming out of the, like from the rootstock. I mean, look at that. Seems to keep on wanting to push out. So I can either go in, train it up, or leave it as a bush. I think I'm going to leave this one as a bush form. And the flowers are really pretty. The only bad thing about white flowers in the garden is when it starts to age, it kind of looks dirty. If you can look at this one, and you'll know what I mean. See, when it reaches its maturity, it kind of just brown, and it just looks yucky. So I don't know. It's worth it to have it in the garden, because after this, other things will come out. You can see this one is a little bit more established as a bush form. This also is another saucer magnolia. Same thing. It pushed out its bud too soon. So that's why you got all these dried up stuff. Here's a bud here. Bud here. I might have one that survived on this one. Look at this one. Oh, nope. Never mind. It's falling off. Yep, there it goes. So never mind about that one. So hopefully next year it'll be a better statement show in the garden and it won't push too soon, but you can see all the buds are just dying off and rotting. Just go in and clean it off. This one just came right off. But you can see here, see how when it gets that frost damage, it's just brown and it won't fully develop. I'm trying to do this with one hand, sorry. But basically all the leaves are in there for the flowers, but it just never opens up. And it's sorry you guys, it's super windy. I think we're expecting a massive storm coming in, possibly tornado warning. So I'm doing this in case all the flowers kind of get taken away by the storm. I am sorry, I'm waiting for it to stop blowing, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's just been super windy today in anticipation of that tornado coming in. But this is the black tulip magnolia. The tree now is probably about 10 feet tall, and these flowers are too high up for me to actually get a clear shot, so I'm having to zoom in. But I have 2 flowers that are in bloom right now. You can see, let's zoom out real quickly, I'm sorry, it's really windy. It has more buds, but again, these bud, I think, got nipped by the storm that we had. See, here's a bud here, but see this one, yeah, it got nipped by the storm. So most of the buds got nipped by that frost that we have, except for those 2, and they're actually a lighter purple than I thought. In the picture it shows, and I've seen them, they're like royal purple, and it's really pretty. I wish I can bend one so that I can show you, and I'm afraid to snap it. But you can see here, I'm going to try to zoom in if it holds still. Okay, so it actually is really big. It could reach, the flower span can be about 6 inches to 8 inches in diameter when it is in its prime. Right now it's not. I might actually have one bud right here that still looks green, still looks good, and it's actually my height. So hopefully when it blooms, I'll actually be able to show you guys what it looks like. Now the black magnolia tree actually will get up to 30 feet tall. At least that's what the tag says, so we'll see. But right now it's already at least 10 feet tall. And you can limit up so that it creates more of a canopy. But I'm realizing that if I do that and I form it all the way up, I'm going to be able to see the flower, but they're so far away, I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy it as much as actually seeing it right in front of me. So I had originally thought to maybe use these and air layer them, but I might leave them because, you know, all these branches will form flower, which is more of my height that I can actually reach and enjoy. But I'm not sure. I think I might have to decide a little bit more, because I do need to see if I can air layer them, because I like to have more in the garden. So here it is. This is the black tulip magnolia. It actually might be taller than 10, because I'm a 5. No, it's about 10. I'll need the hubby to come. He's 6 feet, so it might be better to gauge how tall it actually is now. So this is its 2nd year in the ground. 1st year it's supposed to sleep. That's what the story is. 2nd year it creeps, and 3rd year is when it flushes and it goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. Let me zoom in. I hope I don't make you guys sick. But here's what the flower looks like. Really pretty, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it actually has a little bit more time to get established in the ground. This was probably one of the most expensive purchase I've ever made. I got this at Pike's Nursery, and I think it was like $130. And you know, that's due to its age. They have to have it in the nursery for a while, tend to it, keep it, make sure it's alive. I know that when you buy younger plants, it's a lot cheaper, but it's less time in the nursery, so they don't have to take care of it as much. But this is my garden right now. Everything is kind of bare. Everything is kind of pushing out. Can't wait until everything flushes out. We did a burn on the lawn. You can see it's starting to green up though and growing. So excited to see that. The forsythia is amazing. I don't know what variety I have, but I think I want more compact. These guys, like, it grew like 6 feet in 1 year's growth. It's really pretty though. And then I've got my peach trees in here. Eventually all the fruit trees will come out of this garden. But starting a garden fresh, I needed a place that is fertile to plant the fruit trees. So that's why it's in my garden. It's incorporated into my garden. But eventually I like for it to come out. And then this will just be a garden while we get our orchard area ready. But the forsythia is really pretty. And that's currently what's blooming in my garden. The forsythia and the Japanese magnolia. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'm sorry if this video was long. I was trying to capture every single Japanese magnolia that I have. And I had wished that they were all in bloom so I can kind of show you guys all around what it looks like. But sometimes garden, you can't plan for things, or you try to plan for things and they never turned out the way you like. But gotta enjoy every little moments in the garden, even if it's not all at the same time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.